Namaste. So, we read a poem from Sri Aurobindo, contextual and contemporary events, the Iron Dictators. So, we see that war is happening so much. Dictatorship is not only about a country, there are many dictators everywhere. People who want to dictate only one way of life, who want to exclude everything else. They're all mini dictators, a little Talibani in everybody who wants to abolish every other way of life and wants to promote only one way of life. Now, see, sometimes it can take a very strange term. For instance, there are people who say that no, there should be freedom. And what is the word used? Tolerance. And they become very intolerant about any other thought form or framework. Cannot accept. So it's not about professing things, but to understand that life blossoms in diversity. Why it blossoms? Because diversity enriches each other. That's how you see in the way the ecosystem of this universe works. The moment you want to destroy one kind, you will see that you yourself get affected. You get weakened if not destroyed. And a group or a collectivity which wants to destroy large masses of humanity, different type, then it will one day fall back and get destroyed. And the reason is very simple, because nature does not favor that. So it has got to be unity in diversity and not unity in uniformity. What does the dictator want? Only one kind of life, only one way of life. It may be a seemingly good way of life. There may be wealth in it, there may be comfort in it, but only one way of life, and that's what is dangerous. But who is behind this kind of falsehood and all this disorder and chaos that governs the world, or time to time seems to govern or seems to be on the ascendance? Sometimes it seems that it is one. Of course, it can never win. But there is a line in Savitri: momentary evil's almightiness. It seems that for the moment it has won. But for the moment. Ultimately, we must always remember one thing Mother said: we must always remind children one thing they must know. Eventually, truth wins. Satyamev jayate. Of course, this truth is not about truth, my legal truth and that truth, but truth in the deepest sense. The truth of our own being, the truth of this earth, the truth of each nation that it represents. Ultimately, that truth will burst forth and all other appearances will collapse. I looked for thee alone, but met my gaze, but met my glance. The iron dreadful four who rule our breath, masters of falsehood, kings of ignorance, high sovereign lords of suffering and death. So these are the four asuras Mother has spoken of that govern earth nature. These asuras come from the four original gods. Four original gods are the four original aspects of the Supreme. Supreme is Satchidananda, Sat is truth, true existence, from there comes falsehood. Chit is consciousness and power. Otherwise, where will power come? If you just take that it is only consciousness. So, it is knowledge, omniscience as well as omnipotence. So, from knowledge aspect of consciousness comes unconsciousness. And from the force comes weakness, its opposite. And from Ananda comes suffering. So, these are the four original powers of the divine: Sat, Chit, Tapas and Ananda. And out of them comes falsehood, opposite of Sat, and Chit, not the tapas part, only the Chit comes ignorance, unconsciousness. Tapas comes weakness, guilty weakness, of which sentimentality is one of the very forms which goes unrecognized. And Ananda, from which suffering comes into existence. So these are described as the dreadful four who rule our breath. They have woven the net of whole life. Why? Because again, creation is emerging from the inconscient. So they weave the net of life. They have wired us in such a way that we automatically lie. Breath, see. They are wired in such a way that we can never see the totality. And we love ignorance. They have wired us in such a way that we are happy with our weakness and don't want to overcome it. They wired it is us in such a way that man has even a perverse love for suffering. He does not even have faith in a state of ananda which can be constant. He doesn't believe in truth. He doesn't strive for conquest, self-conquest over all that is ugly and low and obscure. So they have wired us like that. So every breath, and this world is full of their network. Their networking is very good. Whence came these formidable autarchies? We should not undermine them because they govern our thoughts. They make us feel weak, useless. They make us even build a gospel of suffering and death. No, man is meant to suffer. God gives me suffering. I have seen even devotees. Many years of devotees. Mother is giving me a test. Arey, mother doesn't give test. She knows us. Mother herself has said, I don't test anyone. Who tests us? These fellows. So they test us, but they make us justify suffering. There are even religions which have made a gospel of suffering. Anchorites sleeping on the bed of nails. There are religions where you beat yourself in the name of God. What kind of God who would like to see his children being beaten up like that? So all this the Asura has made. He has made these cults, ruthless warrior cults that inflict suffering of oneself, blowing yourself up in the name of God and blowing children and women in the name of God. And do we really believe God is there? I mean, if at all he was there, he has left long back, horrified by his own believers. They call the believers as infidels and they themselves are infidels because they are not following the way of the divine. But that's how it is. So, but we get very impressed. And that's why Shri Krishna says, suffering, that is not the way to the divine. Why? Because when you suffer, who has to take the suffering? Krishna has to take the suffering. Bitterness, anger, inflicting suffering on oneself, this is not the way to the divine. You are going to Anandamay, have at least a smile on your face. First thing he'll ask you, where is your smile? So these are very formidable. What is falsehood? It bridges a gap between this world and God. It's impossible. God doesn't exist, falsehood. And if he exists, he is impersonal, far away, falsehood. Even if he is there upon earth, he just comes time to time to take some souls back into his nirvana, falsehood. And I am not going into the detailed description why it is falsehood. If somebody has a question, I'll be happy to answer. And the ultimate falsehood, matter cannot be divinized, transformed. If there is divine in matter, the logical thing is it should be divinized. It's just that we may not know the way or process, so it may be time consuming. But it's so logical and yet falsehood. No, man cannot evolve beyond falsehood. That evolutionary impulse which has taken from dust to man to believe it will stop with this imperfect creature, even it's illogical. So falsehood governs. I have heard people give all these arguments. Even say that no, man is the ultimate. And weird arguments which are laughable actually. Whether you believe in God or not, it's so evident that there will be something more than man. And at least hopefully there is more hope there, even if you don't believe in God. Because with each evolution we see something better which comes. And for all the defects of man, there is something better which emerges with man. The discerning intelligence, the reflection, the poetry, the high philosophies, and connect with God, yoga, spirituality, all that came with man. So we can't just, man has a lot in him which is still animal and asuric. So with each evolution, something better emerges. And maybe man is not meant to integrate his darker base from where he emerges. But the being beyond man will definitely be able to do that, because he will be beyond man, capable of doing what man can only wish and think but cannot. And he will do. That's how Sri Aurobindo describes in Vision and the Boon. He shall do what mortal mind dare not think, because that is what the Superman will be. But right now, these autarchies, from what inconscient blind infinity, because the divine is plunged into this inconscient, cold propagandists of a million lies, dictators of a world of agony. Cold proponents of a propagandist. Is this really a hallmark of Asura? There are three hallmarks. One is strict regimentation. Everybody must follow this way, my way. Even in religion, everybody must pray at this time, this particular book, in this particular way. So regimentation. Everybody must wear this dress. I am not taking any names of which religion. I am simply saying it is regimentation is the sign of the Asura. Regimentation is all right in military, where even there people allow for variations. So wherever you have a strict way of life enforced by a ruthless code, you can be sure that the Asura is at work. So this is regimentation. Second is propaganda. But he'll project a very nice picture. Heaven. You feel, oh, this is so wonderful. Such a wonderful place. So much money, so much everything. That's why those TikTok videos which come of, okay, let me not name, life in China, life in Dubai. Really, I mean, and people are carried away. Of course, few days people go and I don't know what they like or they don't like. For India, you will see, oh, there are potholes and there is this and that. We cannot even engage in propaganda. And propaganda means something, it doesn't mean that you don't express what you are, the beautiful things. Propaganda means that you are lying what is not there. Like Hitler used it to perfection. He would keep the Jews, some of them, and make an appearance that somebody is singing, music is going on, everybody is called for the concert. And he would call like Stalin did, not Stalin, Mussolini. He invited Rabindranath Tagore, gave him a very good hospitality, and he was very impressed. He said, he's a nice guy. Tell Roma Roland had to tell him, what are you doing? You are justifying him. But he looked after very well. He invited him, gave him a state hospitality. And in front of him, he showed a picture that he said, yes, people are very happy. He deliberately didn't show many things. So this is how we see the propagandist lies. Million lies. That's why I don't believe in these figures and numbers. No, they are so misleading. And nowadays, so this is, you want to discredit something, you suddenly make a report, bring out a report, all kinds of things. Somewhere somebody will do a research and say, this medicine is the best one. After 1 year, they say, no, there is another one. So, million lies. Better not to speak about it. And they are the ones who make human beings a prey and a slave to the dark designs of death. People often say that modern medicine has helped us prolong life. Yes, I agree, compared to maybe... I don't know, I'm not sure, because 200, 300 years before also people used to live long. Maybe it has prevented some infant deaths and certain infections. But who knows, if we continued with the lines along which the indigenous medicine was going, facing the challenges, we would have by now figured out a way of our own body immunities. We don't know what many of these chemicals have done to our immune system. We don't know what vaccines have done to us. So, this kind of a picture which comes behind which there is a lot of money, it's a lie beyond lie covered with lie, and which prolongs the agony of earth. And it tries to show as if it is a savior. Lies can go to that extent, that we are coming to save you. The British, even now people say Britishers came and they saved us. They built roads, they built trains. They built trains because they have to loot. As simple as that. So, okay, they built trains. But what has been looted? We can't even imagine. Anyways, so lie. Or was it thou? Now comes the master stroke. Or was it thou who bor'st the fourfold mask? He is again and again reminding us that even there you have to see the oneness. The one is hidden behind every mask, even the most terrible. That's what we see in Death and Savitri. Ultimately, what does she do? The mask of death becomes thinner and thinner and thinner and thinner. At one point, he concedes. He says, okay, show me you are the world mother, then I will worship you. And then she shows the world mother and death is destroyed. She could have done it right away and snatched Satyavan. But it's not about snatching one Satyavan. It's about rescuing the soul of man from ignorance and death. Hence the long drawn battle. And that is only possible when you see the one behind the mask. And that's why in book 11 we see that Auobindo describes the beautiful being who wore this kind of mask as death and terror. Or was it thou who bor'st the fourfold mask, enveloping thy timeless heart in time? Thou hast bound the spirit to its cosmic task, to find thee veiled in this tremendous mime. This is a mask, a mime, caricature of the one. See how falsehood tries to create a caricature of the one. It says all are equal. But we know what it means by that. Tera khoon, mera khoon ek jaisa. This is the most silliest thing. They are biologically not correct, incidentally. We are all equal in the deep essence of things. The fact is that physically we are not equal. I am not talking of color. Color is the least important thing. Strength, capacities, temperament, character, possibilities, skills. There is this not inequality, it is variety. That's how nature creates differentiation. Differentiation is not differences. Differentiation is the joy of life. But when it tries to force create equality, see, it is trying to play God, miming it. When we say that matter is the omnipotent power, ultimate power, we are still seeking the ultimate power. Only we are saying we can find it in the nucleus, atom. So it tries to imitate the truth which is above, mimes it. Mime is somebody who is mimicking the truth. And there are people who believe it. That's a different story altogether. And why he has done it, as I said in the previous one, in the battlefield, to help us grow strong and capable of setting our gaze, or rather bearing the gaze of the Supreme. That's why that line in Savitri, which comes in book 11, two looked upon each other's soul, saw soul. Now she can say, so hum asmi. He am I. Look at the profundity of the realization. What does the Asura say? He am I means he inverts it into I am he. And that's where he collapses. He am I. You can say only when you have set your eyes on he. You cannot say before that. But I am he can be said by anyone. See the difference. I am he. You know yourself. And whatever you are, you say I am divine. But when you say he am I, it means you have discovered him behind all the masks. And then you discover, because in his discovery, your masks are also gone. And you discover, he am I. Thou, only thou canst raise the invincible siege. Again, just like in the battlefield, in the end, surrender to the divine. Doesn't mean we don't make effort. We make effort. Discovering the divine behind everything is a tremendous effort. Engaging in battle against the forces of night, representatives, whether outside or within, as we are calling, is a tremendous effort. So one has to do one's effort, but always knowing that ultimately it is one. That's how Sri Aurobindo wanted us not to be too much carried away by hostile forces and forces of darkness. It lends them credence and justification and power. In every darkness, we have to see the sun that is hidden. That's what Savitri is about. That is the story of Martand emerging from the earth, the eighth son of Aditi. Nalini Das article where he writes about Ravana. Who is Ravana? When Ravana is destroyed, he becomes a devotee of Rama. In his origin, he is a devotee of Vishnu. When the ego and everything is gone, he is lying, he dies. The soul of Ravana triumphs. That's why Rama tells Lakshman, now learn from him some wisdom, because he has once again become the wise one. So thou, only thou, canst raise the invincible siege. O light, O deathless joy, O rapturous peace. Thou, only thou, canst raise the invincible siege. O light, O deathless joy, O rapturous peace. We should invoke the divine into this world of darkness and suffering to bring his joy and peace and light into this world. Ma.